take season.
What up, what up? Thanks for tuning in to another segment of Hot Take Season, where these hot takes are rated E for everybody. I'm your host, Mia Me. I've got Bees here tapping in with me for this one. How are you, Bees?
I'm good, Mia. Thank you for having me again. Y'all know it's Bees in the building. Talk to me nice as always.
Of course, of course. So much has happened since our last segment. I don't know what to get into first. But I guess we can take it the NFL route. Surprisingly, Josh Dobbs was making some strides with Arizona. They ended up trading him to the Vikings, and dude has been balling. What are you thinking for Josh Dobbs going forward with Minnesota?
I think first of all, I think he's a high number two backup QB in the league. I think very serviceable. I think he did a good job in Arizona. Of course, he lit us up um, when we played them, and I thought it was going to be something when we go in there and roughshod them and come out there and blow them out. But he showed poise. He was able to make passes, and I think it was a good thing, being that Kyler Murray is coming back for Week 10. So, and Arizona already knew that going forward he was going to be back at some point. So, why not get some compensation for a guy that tread water
Yeah.
with the Cardinals? When a lot of people looked at the Cardinals, was like they may win one game with Kyler Murray out, no D Hop, Connor is still out now. So you were looking like, okay, so where at the skill positions can we win? And Dobbs came in and you did great. And then to top it off, he gets to Minnesota. The starter is out with an ACL and Kirk Cousins. The backup goes down. The third string goes down. And he gets there and immediately has to go in there and perform. And they came out with a victory, as you've seen at the post game. He came in and they all serenaded him, and different things like that. So I think moving forward, with Jefferson coming back the week after this, and Addison showing that he can be a number two, and of course they got T.J. Hawkinson there. I think their passing game should be good. So, and with him, he can, I think they can be serviceable and not, throw the season away. I think they can still put up some points, probably beat a couple teams. But, and I was just reading, Minnesota said the same thing I just said. They looking to give him backup, high backup money because they think he can be a very good backup for Kirk Cousins, who they want to bring back. Kirk Cousins does the nomad. I signed 1-year deals for the rest of my career situation. So, I think it's pretty good. It's surprising, but I'm glad, that he's getting that opportunity and not having to, take a back seat to Kyler Murray uh, for the Cardinals and just sit. So,
Yeah.
like I say, I think he's black. And I'm always rooting for black QBs.
You think he's
Uh,
great?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I haven't seen him without his helmet on. I
Yeah.
just don't pay attention like that. So, but with a name like Joshua Dobbs, I'm gonna go with the fact that he's black, and I always support black QBs. So,
Um, I think it's definitely surprising that he was able to go to Minnesota on such short notice and make such a huge impact off rip. And the way that he's been playing, you mentioned, getting Justin Jefferson back and him having key pieces in the passing game. I think Minnesota could really make a push for the playoffs this year. Usually when you lose your starting quarterback, you lose your second string and then your third string. For most teams, that's it for your season. But I think Josh Dobbs looks like he's able to come in and keep Minnesota rolling so far with what they have. So I think it'll be interesting to see just how far this team can go if the rest of the pieces in play can't stay healthy.
yeah, definitely, I agree with that. So we'll see. They got the division. I think is winnable. I'm not sold on. I think it's Detroit is what 6-5-2 or 6-2,
Mhm.
something like that. I'm not sold on them. It's well known they haven't won. They haven't been in the playoffs 54 years, something
So
of
it's not
that
this year for
nature.
Detroit.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. So if I'm Minnesota, I'm looking at Detroit and I'm saying I don't see a track record that shows me that this can continue. And Jared Goff has been playing out of his mind going on, a season and a half now. And Detroit has all the pieces. It's just Detroit.
Yeah,
And until that, that dirt is taken off Detroit's name for them to show that this is what we can do,
right.
I'm always going to sit there and say there's a chance that, they can fold towards the end of the season. And if, like I said, Minnesota treads water and they win certain games, then you never know, what can happen. And then again, Detroit can just take off and say,
Yeah.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know. I think Detroit has a strong push for it too, honestly. And that's just seeing the way that Dan Campbell has been able to turn that team around. I know late in the season, last season, they were able to put some wins together. It just wasn't enough. But I have seen improvement from them. But I'm kind of like you, like, okay, is this for real or where does it fall apart at? But I don't know. I think that's interesting. I think Detroit is better than obviously what we've seen in the past few years. And I gotta kind of apologize to Jared Goff because I wrote him off. Especially when he got to Detroit, I was just like he ain't it, he ain't it. But this season, he has proven he can still play. So we'll see how far Detroit can go with that.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think in the previous episode, I did mention Jared Goff as somebody. I think you asked the question about, sleeper or
Yeah.
somebody out of the QBs. I think I mentioned Jared Goff, and he's held the form
Mhm.
so far. So, but you always got to shake off those past um, failures
Mhm.
before people, and you got to win something before
Right.
people can sit there and say, this is no longer the Jared Goff of old, and this is not the Lions of old.
Right.
So,
Right.
finally you get a Thanksgiving game where you're not sleeping for the first game of the football slate on Thanksgiving Day. You actually want to see Detroit
People not
in the
showing up
game.
just to see Big Sean.
Yeah, just to see Big Sean perform in the empty part of the stadium. So,
I don't know. Yeah, hopefully Detroit can keep it together. But another quarterback making strides is rookie CJ Stroud with Houston. Houston seems to be trying to put some stuff together, given the past controversy they've had within the last few seasons. What you thinking there?
I like CJ Stroud. I think it took him a few games to get acclimated to the NFL.
Mhm.
I think he showed that he can actually play the position. Um, and, a lot of people were, saying, what can it happen? Because it was, up and down season. I think that has a lot to do with the fact, one, they don't have any running game.
Mhm.
Damian Pierce is not good. Um, Singletary is, he bounces from team to team. So you can't really depend on that. And then their receivers. I think the best receiver they have is Nico Collins,
Mhm.
was supposed to be their wide receiver one. And on any other team, he would be, a fringe wide receiver two, three, in my opinion. It's just what I've seen. So um, I think moving forward, as they continue to add pieces in Houston, I think CJ Stroud will show that he belongs and that he'll be one of those QBs in the future. But I like what I saw so far. Defense, they gave him some points on Sunday. But yeah, I think with everything that happened from the Deshaun Watson massage scandal to people saying that the team and the organization was ran terrible to Watt wanting to get out, things of that nature. But I think D'Amico Ryans is good for them. I think he's because he comes from the defensive side, so he has that dog in him to
Mhm.
let people know, this is not the old Texans, and stick with me, and we can do something like Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell went to the Lions and he imposed his personality on the team. So I think D'Amico Ryans can do the same thing. It's just going to take time, but you see strides and you see certain highlights that shows you, the future is bright for them.
Yeah, for sure. I think they gotta just continue to add pieces around CJ. But for now, he's looking like they might have found the quarterback that they need for the future for sure.
Yeah, and in this NFL, it's hard to sit there and say we have a franchise quarterback because I've said it before. I think this is like the worst season when it comes to quarterbacks for
Mhm.
across the both conferences. I mean, you can count on your hand, probably one and a half, six, seven, eight guys that
Mhm.
are you can count on to say I know we can, make this offense and not just be a manager, a game manager,
Right.
and depend on other phases of the football team to win these games. It wasn't like that before. Before you can see surefire quarterbacks that can play the position.
Mhm.
Now these guys are, you know, they're not ready. Some of them are not ready. Some of them are put in positions that they have to be ready. So, but CJ Stroud, he should be one of those guys moving forward, definitely.
Yeah, and it's terrible to walk into a situation where you're not ready and then you're not getting developed at
Yeah.
the same time. So, yeah, hopefully CJ can continue to show the upside or show potential to be that quarterback for Houston. Um, as a Cowboys fan, though, I mean, you don't really care. They're not in the division, but
You don't really care, but I do understand. Yeah.
yeah, for sure. But speaking of your Cowboys, my Cowboys, they signed Martavius Bryant, the wide receiver. Give me your takeaway with that, because I don't necessarily think we need it. Um,
There's no necessary. We didn't need him. I'm looking at the games and I'm like, the wide receivers you got on the team barely get the ball. So adding Martavius Bryant, who I think he hasn't played since 2018. I
mhm,
think it was something like that. It's been almost 5 years since
right.
you've actually, been on the team. So now got to get you up to game speed. Other than the fact that maybe you owe him a favor or, you want to stash him for next season. But how long are we going to keep doing this? We're going to keep getting these fringe wide receivers and then cross our fingers and hope that they become, a great wide receiver too. You got CD, who's obviously a legitimate wide receiver one.
Mhm.
And then after that, you don't utilize Brandon Cooks. You don't.
I
Gallup
feel
is
he's
a
on the field
shell.
sometimes.
Yeah, like I don't. I think the last game I finally saw him catch more than one pass or even one thrown to him. Even
Yeah.
though Dak had a great game, but still, and I understand. You're gonna feed CD as much as you can, but what's the point? You got You still got Gallup, who's number three, shell of himself. You got Turpin, who's in the passing game, who gets snaps in the passing game.
Mhm.
You got Tolbert, so that's five.
Mhm.
And if you six, then you just stand on the sideline watching and waiting for the sounds of the sideline to come by so you can give a quote, so you can at least get seen
I mean, you still got
on
the
Tuesday.
ability for Tony Pollard to move around in those
Yeah,
type of situations. There's so much that they can do, and I feel like a if you're gonna pick up somebody after the trade deadline, after not doing anything before the trade deadline, you need to be finding some more offensive linemen
yeah.
because Tyron Smith can't stay healthy. Luckily, he was healthy in that Eagles game. But then you turn to the right side, and Terrence Steele is a liability. He's been a liability, honestly, in my opinion. And it's hard because a lot of people would take his decent games and go, "Oh, he's okay. He's been good," but he's still inconsistent for me. And I feel Dallas will have these offensive line injuries and refuse to get depth at that position.
Nope.
I'm screaming Sunday after Sunday, throw some tight ends over there, get that dude some help. But you go and pick up a wide receiver that you didn't need when you need more offensive linemen. So,
That's Jerry Jones for you. I
mhm.
did something. Hey, y'all happy? I did something. I'm like,
Right.
no, you didn't have to do that. Especially you just watched the game and Terrence Steele was basically a turnstile on that right side and pretty much cost us the game with that last sack.
Yeah.
And you can talk about Dak not throwing the ball away, whatever. They knew Terrence Steele was basically a dead body on the right side. We can get by him anytime we want to, bull rush. And it was embarrassing at a point because I'm like, you guys see this. You guys see on the other side, Tyron Smith. You got to put him in bubble wrap for 6 days out of the week, and then just let him play on, game day.
Mhm.
What are you wasting Tyler Smith's time, because he was phenomenal against the Eagles. Like he shut down whoever was coming at him. And you got, and then even Tyler Bias, he's been
Yeah, we gotta get
up
some.
and down too. Like
Yeah.
I don't know if it's coming back from the injury, so you want to give him a little bit of grace because he was injured. But there's only two guys on that line that are consistently good,
And you're
and one
wasting
guy
their
you was gonna let
time.
sit. Yeah, you wasted that time, and one guy you was gonna let sit because you didn't want to pay him.
Yep.
And y'all really shrugged your shoulders. Well, if he can't, well, I'm like, the one guy that's a Hall of Famer,
Right.
all NFL every year, and you're gonna sit there and say, well, we'll pay him when we get around to it. I'm
Disrespectful.
like, it don't make no sense. So, but it was a signing. I'm pretty sure soon we'll see. He won't be around long just because. Oh, we won't see it. There's nothing exciting about that. Um, to add him to an offense that is just now starting to click. And I think Mike McCarthy finally said, you know what, this West Coast offense nonsense, let me put it to the side. And I got a phenomenal wide receiver that weighs 88. Let's utilize him because nobody can guard him. And this is what, 3 weeks or 2 weeks in a row with 12 or more targets. What do you had, 100 and
For CD, yeah, he 189 or something like that.
189 or something like. What we? It's every week. It's a mismatch. I don't care if it's inside, outside. It's a mismatch every week, and all you got to do is find him. So
It could all be so simple, but they'll make adjustments, it seems, everywhere else except for their offensive line. And
yeah,
I don't get it. Again, you wasted the prime of Travis Frederick. And
hmm
that's over. Now Zach Martin is still around. Tyron Smith is still around, but injuries set in. These guys get older. So you should be doing other things to find depth for those guys to keep the ball rolling. But also to try to win now with them because they're too great of players to go out without a championship.
See, yeah, and Jerry's a narcissist. So to him, he every year he feels like they're good enough
Mhm.
to win, and it's like every year you're proven wrong because it's always something that y'all overlook. Like for years we said, go get safeties.
Right.
They looked and said, well, what we need safeties for? I'm like, do you not see us getting burnt every game across the middle? Because the safeties, one, can't cover, and two, can't tackle.
Right.
So they took forever to do that. I'm like, y'all do stuff at the end of people's prime and then sit around and say, well, the cap this, the cap that. What are you talking about? You're the only team in the NFL that cares about the cap this much.
Everybody else is buying what they would need to buy.
Everybody else go in the store. Let me get those two Lamborghinis and let me get
Mhm.
that Porsche. You go in the store. Well, let me get that Winnebago over there because I know it's gonna last long. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
We trying to win. It was 95. We trying to win. We people tired of hearing they ain't won a champ. I'm tired of hearing. I hear it, especially coming from being from New York. I
Yeah.
hear it all the time. The Cowboys, they ain't going far. Every season, my
Yeah.
friends text me with pictures. Cowboys already eliminated from the playoffs.
Dang.
First week of the
Before
season.
the
I'm like,
season started. But you know what? I feel like a lot of those people be closet fans. And I got a cousin specifically. She's a 49ers fan. And you don't hear from her until the Cowboys lose.
yeah, it's
49ers haven't
annoying.
won anything since they played Dallas, since they beat
Yeah.
Dallas. But the only time you hear from her is when the Cowboys lose. I don't understand.
hmm
You know how it go. You've been in this life
Yeah.
long enough.
Yes.
Um, but we'll switch gears and hop to some NBA. I don't think we had the chance to talk NBA at all yet. Since the season has started. Um, Wemby for sure. I think is the highlight. Or at least he was week one. Which is seeing just how fluid he is, how he can move. And just what the Spurs can potentially build around him to get back to that dynasty that they were. What do you think about Wemby with San Antonio?
So first of all, let me say I hate the Spurs. Reason I hate the Spurs, they always get uh, transcendent generational talent
Hmm.
after being great and then garbage for one season. It
Hmm.
happened with Tim Duncan. They lose, automatically they get Tim Duncan. They are winners for forever long.
Hmm.
Here we go again. They lose and they get Wimby. And I was thinking, I'm like, okay, guy's 7'4". I seen him in the French league. He looks good. He looks fluid. I'm like, oh, he's gonna get, bullied around and it'll be a wake up call in the NBA. How was I wrong about this guy? I watched the game and I'm like, he's doing things like he's 6'5",
Yeah.
not 7'4". Like I seen him on the post and he backed the guy down. He did a pump fake. The guy went for it. He drop step and didn't lay the ball up on the side he was on. Now, mind you, he was on the right side. He
Hmm.
drop step and then came around the other side and dunked the ball on the left side of the basket. I said, "Are you crazy?
How can you stop it? Like how
You
how
can't
can you
stop it."
stop it?
Then he's coming down. He's putting the ball through his legs. He's pulling up for three. I'm like, is this guy seven? What are we like? He's he's generational,
Yeah.
and it's just gonna get better moving forward. I, I don't like the Spurs, but I like the fact that he's under Pop. Pop is
Mhm.
gonna teach him. He has guys there like Ginobili. He has guys like Duncan that'll teach him fundamentals. That'll teach him how to be a pro. Which being in the French league, you're kind of in a professional league already. But you
Right.
get over here and you got guys that did it the right way that'll teach you and take you under their wing. And I just think the Spurs are start putting, more pieces around them. Like I think Devin Vessel is another guy that
Mhm.
can be there and be a core piece for the Spurs. But the sky is not the limit for him as far as on the basketball court because like I'm just watching him and I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like
Rookie of
you
the
can
year
block
already?
shots, huh?
Rookie of the year already?
I got him up there. I got
Yeah.
him. I got Chet. Um, I got Chet up there. I'm gonna tell you my sleeper, and it's only because he's from the Brotherhood and he's on your team, the Mavericks. I like Derek Lively.
Yeah.
Um, he didn't get to showcase a lot at Duke because of
Mhm.
the system and how it is, and he was hurt at the beginning of the season, so he kind of caught up late. But he has some game to him. He has some fight to him. And I watched a couple of the highlights of the Mavs games. I like him a lot as a rookie, but I think it's between Wemby and Chet. But of course, just like we go back a couple decades ago, Melo and LeBron,
Mhm.
and LeBron was that guy who was on TV, so I think Wemby will get it because of that, because so much is invested in him. Because I
Mhm.
thought Melo was rookie of the year that year in '03, and they gave it to LeBron because it was just
LeBron.
already written.
Yeah.
So I think Wemby will get it because of that, because they put so much effort and so much power behind it to
Mhm.
push that machine. So he'll get it. It's like I think he'll get an All-Star nod, regardless what the Spurs record is. They're gonna put him in the All-Star game.
I mean, you
And
kind of
then
have to. You
yeah,
have to.
so but yeah, that guy's phenomenal. Like, man, I can't wait to see what he when he fills out as far as his physique is concerned and puts a little bit more weight on and see how that changes his game
Mhm.
or enhances his game, because I think he can be deadly as KD is. I'm watching and I'm like, dude, you can't block a shot when he's damn near 8 feet when he get off the
Yeah, I don't
ground.
know how you
So
stopping it. I don't know.
yeah, so
I don't know. But yeah, Lively for the Mavs just came in like a breath of fresh air. I am loving that pickup for Dallas. And I just for me, it's like, yeah, he's great now, but I want to see him in the years to come. Just the way he develops and adjusts to the game at this level. I can't wait to see that. So yeah, definitely looking like a good pickup for Dallas on that. But we had some trades to happen. Dame gets moved to Milwaukee, and that started out looking really, really good for Milwaukee. I'm trying to see just how long they're going to be able to keep that up because him and Giannis is looking like a 1-2 punch right now.
I love the move for Milwaukee. I think they saw, Giannis. He said what he said on the podcast. He was dead serious about it.
Right.
These guys are, in their late 30s. They're good, but I need you to put people around me if you want me to stay here because I'm trying to win.
Mhm.
Milwaukee heard that. They got on the phone, got Dame in there. I think the 1-2 punch is great. Um, but I think the depth for the Bucks could be a problem.
Okay.
As far as when they get out the game, like I watched, like just for example, the game when the Knicks just played them. The those two will win you a game, but the depth is an issue if you go against other physical teams that are deep
Mhm.
on the other side. So I like them in the East. I like, of course, them. I like Boston. I think Dame is going to be Dame. You're going to get 30, 40 point a game explosions. You're going, you're going to get last second shots, and then you're going to get lapses on defense. He's
Right.
not a defensive stopper, so you weigh the options. Do we get this dynamic guy and we lose Drew Holiday, who's a staple on the defensive end and all NBA defender, but anybody with common sense to tell you when you do that trade in a heartbeat 10 times out of 10 because it's just what can you do? You got Giannis coming at you full speed, locomotive train down the middle. You got Dame on either side of the wing for a kick out, or you got Dame, coming down and giving it to Giannis.
Yeah.
I think the only thing I think that I may see moving down where I think Adrian Griffin has a short leash because he's a rookie head coach
Mhm.
for the most part, even though he's been assistant coaches in different places. So if they don't win, I think the axe comes down on him if they're not winning at the clip that they think they should. Like being a 500 team or a couple games over 500, a third into the season, the seat will start getting a little hot for him
Yeah,
because
for
people will
sure.
start looking and saying, they should be, winning more games than losing at this point. So if he, I, because other than that, it's pretty good for me. I think Middleton is a shell of himself personally. I think Robin Lopez is gonna be Robin Lopez. He'll pull up, hit a three, block a couple shots, but you know what you're getting out of him. So
Right.
it's really the coaching, and I think it's how those two gel moving forward. But it's been up and down. I said they got smoked by the Raptors,
Mhm.
and then they barely beat us, which they should have lost. But talk about that, whatever.
Yeah, bias on that one,
Um,
maybe.
I'm a little bit, a little bit, but yeah. But I like them in the East. Second, I got Boston first. I got them second. So
Um, yeah, I think Dame and Giannis can mesh well. You're right about depth. Especially when Chris Middleton has the injuries that he keeps getting plagued with. Um, you got to be able to keep the ball rolling. I don't think scoring is ever going to be an issue as long as those two can continue to play with the same cohesion that they have. But it's going to take other people to step up and be role players, because things happen. And when you lose a defensive presence like Drew Holiday, that makes a difference on the other end of the court. So I don't know. Milwaukee has a good situation going, but they may need to move some pieces to keep things going in the right direction. If it does
absolutely,
come down to and they're at 500, a third way through the season, that's a problem. Because you have two dynamic players on the court, and I don't necessarily consider that a super team at this point. But they still have enough to be above 500.
yeah. So and that's what it's going to be. That's going to be the conversation, because it's never going to be about the top end talent. It's going to be a conversation of results,
Right.
and that's where you start to look and say, okay, either the coach is the coach or these other complementary players are a little too older to complement them and they can't do what they used to do 2, 3 years ago
Mhm.
now, because this early season doesn't matter. It's all about the playoffs and what you do because it's championship or bust or finals or bust for Milwaukee. There's no second round. There's no conference finals is it. If you don't make it to, just like last year,
Mhm.
they got, bounced in the first round, which was shocking. But, this year there's everything is on the table. It's conference finals or championships or bust. Anything other than that is wholesale changes coming as far as players. And Adrian Griffin may be on that hot seat too,
Mhm.
because he's not inheriting a young team. He's inheriting
Right.
a team that is, you know, supposed to win. So now you got to put the pieces together and put it and work your magic, however that's going to be. Because obviously they thought Budenholzer was lost their team. So what are we doing from here? So, but
Mhm.
we'll see, and it's going to be interesting. I think it's more than just Milwaukee and Boston in the East. I hear a lot of these analysts saying, it's a two-team race in the East, but I'm looking and it's about five teams
Mhm.
that play each other tough. I think you got Milwaukee, you got Boston, you got the Sixers, you got Cleveland, and then you got my Knicks. My Knicks are very gritty. And I'm always going. If they was garbage, I would tell you, but I
Yeah.
just think I think they tough. I just think it's tough. They're a tough team. And then of course you got I hate this Miami, but it's always lurking in the background somewhere to get it together and be gritty and grind. So the East is going to be a tough one um, throughout the season. So and I'm gonna enjoy it.
So Boston gets Kristaps Porzingis. They get Drew Holiday. Obviously they keep Tatum and Jalen Brown is still around. Is this now do or die for Boston?
You
Because what
gave
else do you
J-
need? What else do you go and get?
you gave Jalen Brown $300 million.
Mm-hmm.
You got to give Jason Tatum more than the $300 million you gave Jalen Brown. There's just no question about it. Like, so now you're talking about $600 million in two guys.
Mm-hmm.
You got Porzingis, you got Drew Holiday, you got what's the guy that looks like that just shaved his head? What's his name?
Derek White.
Derek White. So you got guys that can defend. You got guys that can score. Um, again, just like Milwaukee with Boston, and I think it may be a little bit better because they have more guys that can actually hold down the fort when these top guys need rest. Their depth is not that great either.
Mm-hmm.
Um, losing Robert Williams, and shout to him. Hope he gets better. I know he has to have knee surgery out in Portland. Losing Robert Williams, losing Malcolm Brogdon, sixth man of the year, losing Marcus Smart, who was the heart and soul of the team. That's a lot. Even though they're out to a 5-1 start, Porzingis has injury concerns.
Mm-hmm.
When he's healthy, he's pretty good. He's a 2010 guy.
Yeah.
Drew Holiday is defensive guy. So what happens when one of the guys goes down? What happens when that you need that depth off the bench that you don't have, or that championship pedigree that may have left with Marcus Smart? I think they'll get through the East through the regular season with a great record. I think, like I said, I think they'll be number one. It just every time we say this, the playoffs come and they act like they never played basketball before. At a certain point in the series, they
Mm-hmm.
start to look like we don't know what to do, or
Mm-hmm.
they just start doing things that are uncharacteristic of what they've done all season.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is their year because, like I said, when you got to put another $330 million to a player, these guys that you have complimenting them is not going to sit there and say, "Yeah, I'm going to take
Mm-hmm.
a discount to stay here."
Somebody
Now
finna
you,
want it. So you
yeah,
gotta get it now or somebody
I'm
want
getting out of here. Like you can't pay me. You just paid six. So what we now you stuck.
it. Mm-hmm.
So hopefully, it is boom or bust for them. It's championship or we tearing this down. And you may have to move Jalen Brown because I personally wouldn't have gave him 300. I wouldn't have gave him 300 million. I didn't see nothing about that guy that says you worth $300 million other than the fact that you play for us. He can go left. Every time he put the ball in his left hand, he like a shaking tree, a shaking leaf. And so, but again, they're in my team's division, so I hope the worst for them. But you know, we shall see moving
Yeah, for
forward.
sure. So Grace's favorite player, James Harden, after causing so much of a ruckus in Philly, he is now in LA with the Clippers. Kawhi, PG, Westbrook, and now Harden. Can this work over there? Can Harden work
No,
over there? No. I don't
Harden
think
can
so
work
either.
with nobody. He can't work with anybody that needs the ball more than him. If
hmm
you'd have told me this lineup in 2018, I would have said that's championship. Nobody can guard them. Watching Harden go from Houston to Brooklyn to Philly and now LA, and it's the same thing with him. When he doesn't get his way, he pouts like a baby and he messes up the chemistry and he starts to rub people the wrong way. And I want out. There's no way you trust that. And then you couple that with two guys that at any given time, walking down the court, can pull something
hmm
and be gone for 2 months. And then you got another guy on the other wing that is nicknamed Russell Westbrook. Like
Recipe for disaster is
it's
what
a
it
recipe
sounds
for.
like.
I watched them when they just lost to the Knicks, and it's like fourth quarter they didn't know where to go, they didn't
hmm
know what to do as far as who gets the ball, who doesn't get the ball, who has to take a back seat, and I'm gonna be honest, the only guy that I think in his mind state that says I can take a back seat is Russell Westbrook will
hmm
say I will take a back seat and do other things because he can do other things.
But he kind of has to. I don't think Russ is the Russ of old where he can call that type of shot anymore.
Yeah. But he understands that. I don't
Yeah,
think Harden is the Harden of old, but he doesn't understand that.
yeah.
And then you can't. What happens when Ty Lue goes to him and says, "Listen, Harden, I think you better come on off the bench running with the second team."
hmm
Is it going to be Allen Iverson thing where you talking about? I don't come off the bench.
Right.
I don't care what you got to do. I'm starting, or you can get me out of here.
hmm
Or is he going to understand? I'm 34. I'm trying to win a championship. This is best for the team, and let me do that. I don't see it, and his track record shows he's a selfish individual, and you can't
It's
do that
not
when
enough
your game
balls.
is declining.
Yeah, it's not enough balls there. Um, for all of that because somebody has to take the back seat and it can't just be Russ. Um, but it's just not enough to go around. That's he went from one chaotic situation to making this new situation chaotic.
But every situation he's been to, he's made it chaotic.
Chaotic.
So, he was in Houston and they bought Chris
It ain't
Paul
been
in. He
peace since
he
OKC.
ran Chris Paul out.
Yeah,
I
so
saw he ran Westbrook out.
mhm,
Everybody they bought to him when he was the man couldn't play with him.
yep.
And then they bought him the other guys to say be the complimentary piece to them. And I'm not playing with Kyrie and KD. Send me to Philly. Oh, I'm not this. I don't play in the system. I am the system.
hmm
Really?
Can't win with him. Can't win.
So what you gonna do? So okay, now I'm gonna sit back and watch this, grab my popcorn, and
hmm
watch this implode. And by February, somebody, I think one of those four, and it's gone. Because it can't work.
But it's got to be him at this point. Like he was the last one in. He's got to be the first one out.
He won't be
Tough
there.
call to make at this point. But I mean, I don't. I'm not letting Kawhi go for him. Even with Kawhi
No.
coming back from the injuries he's had, I'm not. I'm not doing that for Harden. So
So I mean, they was trying to get rid of PG. If things don't they go the way it's supposed to be, those talks may drum back up because
mhm.
over the summer they was, I know they
But
was entertaining calls on him.
yeah, I mean, even with PG out of the mix, I don't think Harden and Kawhi works.
I don't think anybody works with James Harden. Like
And
other
it's
than
him.
James Harden, I think he has to play with a team full of James Harden
Yeah.
and he'll be fine. Like I think he really fires up 2K and just puts himself on his team 12
Mhm.
times and that's it. Like that's the type of guy he is. Like because he has to handle the ball.
Mhm.
I mean, he can pass the ball, but for a guy that averaged 10 assists a game, the first thing that comes to your mind when you see James Harden is not pass first.
You're right.
So that's telling me you have a reputation of other things, even though you could do it. But the rest of the things you do is taken away from you being a productive guy on a team.
Mm-hmm.
And then his playoff record is nothing to, to call home about. Everybody
Exactly.
tell you when he gets to the playoffs, he in the strip club. He taking off
Mhm.
and relaxing. Like, I
And
don't
then you
really
put him
care
in
about this.
LA of all places? Come on.
So we'll see. We shall see how that works, man.
In recent news though, Jamal Murray with Denver is going to be out for a month with a hamstring injury, I believe. This affects Denver obviously for that month that he's away because for me he was a big driving force to them getting that championship. But obviously they should be able to maintain themselves through that and still make a strong push later in the season, I would think. Especially if he can stay healthy following this.
I, let me see. It's kind of hard for me. I think those two are, to when I say two, Jokic and Murray are so pivotal and instrumental
Mhm.
to Denver in the way they play. Just because Murray is phenomenal going downhill, is phenomenal on the pull up, on the catch and shoot. He can pretty much do everything as a guard. And for that team, it works because you have a guy in Jokic that draws so much attention.
Mhm.
It leaves one-on-ones for Murray um, to do what he does. I'm trying to think of somebody who actually who would step up for him in that role, and I don't see nobody that's going to mimic
Not
that
nobody that's
production.
going to give you the same impact.
Nobody's that production won't be mimicked, so you lose that. And then I'm looking and I'm like, okay, so you have Porter Jr. Who can I guess he's going to get more um, ball handling responsibility, and Jokic is always handling the ball. So I think they'll be fine just because Jokic is a walking triple double,
Mhm.
and there's nobody on the planet that can guard him.
Right.
This guy can get 35 eating McDonald's,
Now we got to
um,
see him versus
20
Wimby.
pieces. It doesn't matter. I personally I watched him. I watched Jokic, and I'm like, this is just too much. It's just he's too skilled.
Yeah.
Like he's too skilled, and he has so much bulk. It's hard for guys to, you can't body him, you can't out physical him.
Hmm.
His vision is great. Like it's you. This is another guy who's like Wimby, but you look and you say, hey, this guy, I know he doesn't work out.
Right.
I know he don't spend too much time in the damn gym, but he's just so great
Hmm.
at everything he does. So I think Denver will be fine. And one reason I think Denver will be fine, I'm looking at the other teams, and they're all lacking something to where it's like, and it's early, but they're all lacking something to say over this next month, they're going to go on an 8-game winning streak or a 9-game winning streak to kind of push Denver out of that one spot. So I'm looking now, I know your Mavs are second, and then you got the Warriors. And I think the Warriors are a big man away from really being able to compete
Hmm.
long term because they too small. They don't rebound well.
What do you think about
They
them getting Chris Paul?
I think Chris Paul coming off the bench is great for them. I
Hmm.
think him running with the second team. I think him taking the ball out of Curry's hands more often because Curry is turnover prone.
Right.
So having somebody that can steady the offense, having somebody that can actually, run the offense, and then with the second team, you put him with Kuminga and Moody and these other guys, and it calms them down and it gets them in the right position, as
Hmm.
opposed to having somebody like GP two running the one,
Hmm.
and he's not a point guard, but you have a de facto point guard with the
Right.
second team. So you have a real one, and also you get Draymond going down court instead of having to bring the ball up sometimes. So it helps them. But like I said, he's still small. Like I
Mhm.
watched some of the games, and then my daughter is a fanatic Golden State Warriors fan. So I'm watching the games every night with her if I want to or not. So, and she asks me every day, Dad, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? And I tell her, I said, I need rebounds. I
Mhm.
said, I could have, getting Dwight Howard, I think would have been good, minus everything he's going through. But on the court, a guy that can rebound, I think, what's the guy's name that they start? The one guy who gets all the rebounds for them. The center, I can't remember his name right now. But he's the only
Uh,
guy.
Jesus. And I'm seeing his face right now, and I just can't like.
But yeah,
Think
but
of
for
him.
that, I think they're a rebounder. I think they're a rebounder away from really being back to that elite, legitimate um, top. I think they're right there at the end of the first tier, beginning of the second tier right now. And then after that, it's a lot of teams that you thought were going to be
Mhm.
together. It looks like the Lakers, the Kings, they're all okay. The Pelicans, I always thought if Zion was healthy, um, they
Memphis
can
is
make a
better.
push. Memphis is Memphis is cooked. Um, Memphis is cooked. Like they have, I'm looking at them. I don't see nobody. They cooked for these next 20 games or 18 games.
Mhm.
So it's gonna be tough when Ja gets back. And even when Ja gets back, they don't have the same team that they had the last two seasons.
Right.
It's not the same team at all. So missing a big man, um, Dylan Brooks gone. So I think Denver will be fine over the next month. But the West will be tough, I think, getting closer to the All-Star game when some of these teams start to realize who's on the team
Mhm.
and how to play together. I think the Lakers can still get it together. I think the Kings, when De'Aaron Fox comes back, will be tough. It's hard, when that motor of your team is going. And he makes up a lot of their offense
Mhm.
and a lot of their heart out there. He makes the team go. So when he gets back, so they're fine. They're lucky. And your Mavs, I like them, but Kyrie is always a question mark for waking up with an injury.
Yeah, especially at the
Luca,
playoff time, you know.
yeah, Luca's always injured on defense, but is 100% on offense. I've never
Mhm.
seen a guy like that limp on defense. As soon as y'all get the ball back, the man is
Yep.
ready to go.
Yep.
So we'll see. But I like how y'all came out. So and gotta watch y'all. So especially y'all still owe us a draft pick if I'm not mistaken. So I
We. Oh man.
think so. I think I still owe us a draft pick. So
Man.
get you. Yeah. So I
Um,
gotta always hope for y'all
yeah,
downfall.
we gotta figure out how not to do that. But speaking of your Knicks in that sense, how are you thinking y'all pan out this season?
I think it's gonna be the same. That four. I think they'll get the four spot. I
Okay.
think last year it was between a 4 and a 5 spot. I think they can get the 4 spot, and I think they can fight for the third spot. The reason I say that is I watched Julius Randle over the first 6 games. He's been terrible. Can't play no worse than he's played. So lower averages tells me is you're going to get better moving forward.
Mhm.
I see Mitch Robinson. This is 6th or 7th year. He's finally learning how to play like a big man as far as not fouling, keeping his hands up, moving on pick and rolls, being able to guard the roller and the guy who picked. Um, his rebounding has been phenomenal, especially on the offensive glass. He's been a monster.
Mhm.
So if he's taking that next step, I watch RJ. RJ is the game is slowing down for him.
Mhm.
He's able to make the passes that usually he would go deep into the lane and then try to do a trick shot.
Right.
Now he's understanding, all right, I can get here, I can suck the defense in, and I can make that pass. He's making it easier for himself at the rim, right now. And his 3-point shot is falling. It's a little bit higher than what it should be at 44%, but even going back down to 38%. So with those two guys stepping up, Jalen Brunson, thank you again for that. Being who he is, and the way they play defense, I think they should be right there, 3 or 4. And then with the bench, Josh Hart, Dante DiVincenzo, um, Hartenstein and IQ, who I'm starting to really feel the way that they didn't extend him the way he's been playing these last couple games. So if that all comes together and the way Tibbs plays them and how hard he plays them, they should be just fine. I don't think they're, of course, not Milwaukee and Boston material. I still got to see what the Sixers look like moving forward. That's why I said 3 or 4, depending on, you know, if the Sixers play like they've been playing the last couple games, then, and if Embiid is putting up 48 and 3/4 every other game, that'll be tough.
Right.
But everybody else behind that, I think, we can get wins off of them any night. So
I'm surprised y'all kept Randall around because it seems y'all have this love-hate relationship with him. It's when he's doing good, Knicks fans love him. But the moment he goes down, it's like, get him out of here. Get him out of here.
that's how New York is. It's either if you not that's just if you I'm telling you, if you play in New York or if you do anything, and it's not even just for professional sports, if you do anything in New York and you don't put 110% behind it, people are gonna dog you and they don't care. And they will tell you to your face, you're not good enough. With
Yeah.
Randall, he has to understand you're not the number one option. He has to understand there's certain things you don't need to do anymore because this is not where you had nobody around you. You have Jalen Brunson. You have guys around you. So when you come, stop bringing the ball up, stop spinning. He stopped spinning and doing dumb stuff, but he still has lapses where it's like, bro, you can't walk back on defense. Like the game, who did we play and we lost? It was one game. It was it was 2 games ago before the Clippers. Um, he didn't get the ball. Brunson took a shot. Now, mind you, Brunson had 48 that game, so he's entitled to get the shot. I'm looking at Randall. Randall puts his hands up, like, why didn't get the ball? Come back down. Matter of fact, it was the Bucks game. He comes back down. He's walking. Mind you, these are like 20 seconds left, Mia. He's walking across half court. Lopez with the offensive foul off the moving screen. I'm looking at Randall. Now, mind you, Randall gets back. He can be in the post, which now negates the backdoor pass that Damian Lillard gets because Damian cuts towards the half court and then backdoors Brunson for the layup. Mind you, we were down 1. We was just up. Damian Lillard hit the 3. We're down 1. Brunson misses the shot. This is the body language that people see. Right. If you don't give 110% every time, people see it. I don't care if you had 25 and 15. People are going to sit there and say, yeah, but you missed this defense. You didn't play defense and we lost. It doesn't matter. And to him, he's sensitive. So when he hears this, he's in his head. And it's like, bro, you don't have to do none of this. Yeah. There's guys here. But it's also, I think Tibbs has to let them know, pass the ball. Like, I love Brunson. I love the fact that he's on my team. I need him to pass the ball to somebody not named Randall sometimes. I'm watching the game tonight. Mitch sets the pick. Brunson, it's an easy lob. He's still dribbling the ball. I'm like, bro, these are easy buckets. Yeah. But this is what happened. And then they do this in the fourth quarter, and it's only those 2 guys on the court. And I'm like, you have to utilize all 5 to be a good team because teams are going to start zeroing in and saying, okay, we notice they only pass the ball to each other. Okay, we're going to double one of them. And we know if we send a double to Randall, he can't pass out of a double team. Yep. So, but these are the things, and it's like,
likely to die.
Yeah, but it's up and down. It's a roller coaster with him. So people are saying, okay, you were all NBA third team 1 year, you were trash the next year, you were all NBA third team this year. So now, what are we doing here? What's the trend? Is this another year of you being trash, and then you come out the first 6 games and you're shooting 22%?
Right. I don't know.
Getting paid $21 million a year?
Like, no for error with y'all.
You don't. And then we sitting on so much assets and we're not doing nothing. Like every time I hear, the Knicks got 8 first-round picks, they got 11 second-round picks, they have team-friendly contract. They don't help on the court. I can't roll none of them damn first-round picks out to say, go make a bucket for me.
Right.
So what, we gonna keep waiting and waiting for this star to come or the star to say I don't want to be there no more? You just missed one in Donovan Mitchell.
Y'all want to be the Cowboys so bad.
Uh, and not like, and I love both of the teams. So I'm just a gluttony for punishment, I guess, at this point.
Hey man, I get it. I get it. The Mavs be on the same time sometimes. I don't understand. But they're off to a great start right now. We'll see how things continue to progress forward. Yeah, I'm loving the lively. I'm liking Grant Williams. I didn't necessarily know how that was going to work out for us. But for now, it seems to be working very well. Obviously, keeping Kyrie healthy and keeping Luca healthy is going to be a major key down the stretch. So we'll see what Dallas can do. They got a big man now, so I can shut up about that for now. As long as
Yeah.
Lively keeps getting better, I can shut
Yeah.
up for you. Any other hot takes before we go?
No, I think we covered everything for the last couple of weeks. I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
I just wanna I know with McCarthy, I need, and this is on the football, I need McCarthy clock management and
yeah,
time management to improve greatly because
sure.
that debacle at the end of the Eagles game had me hot. I'm like, how do you not have 5 plays ready? 17 seconds left. And you sitting there going, what are you going through? Knowing that the clock is going down and we're on the 12-yard line, and you get a delayed game,
Mm-hmm.
and
Three
then
times.
Terrence Steele, yeah, 3 times.
Oh,
It's
defense
ridiculous.
that game.
Don't make no sense. I'm like, how do you move backwards and you right there to win the game? So, you know, I don't put much stock in this Giants game. I think they're gonna blow the doors off
Mm-hmm.
with Danny DeVito uh, playing quarterback for them. So, I mean, what's his name? Tommy DeVito, excuse me. Uh, so I'm not worried about this game. I'm worried about the tough games. I think these next 3 games, if they keep their head on straight, these are all wins and they can stack those. And then I'm just hoping that the Eagles trip up because they got a tough schedule coming up after this bye for them. And then that'll make that December game important. But
It's crazy Dallas didn't pull this win out because they had him on the ropes.
they should have won the
Two
game
touchdowns
from the.
back, a 2
Let me
point
tell you something.
conversion comes back. Like, come on, man.
Mia, they didn't call the pass interference on the touchdown.
That's
The
fine.
guy was on his legs
Mm-hmm.
before the ball even got there. So you call that back. They don't call. Pick up the flag on the hands to the face.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'm like, you pick up the flag. How do you do that? And I'm watching and I'm like, the the play where Hurts, where Parsons sacked Hurts,
Mm-hmm.
and they said it was a fumble. Before that, he was held the whole time and still was able to get the Hurts. But I'm watching and I'm like, this guy's holding him. No calls.
Michael gets held every game, and it's to the point you can't even
It's
expect them to call it.
they call a PI on Gilmore, and I'm like, what pass interference is what is
Mm-hmm.
that? How do you call what is that?
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Right
like
up the
it
ball
was
when Hurts ran for the first down. He did not have first down. But
it's
his,
like it
his
was
knee was
times
like down 2 yards before the marker, but okay.
like they played well enough to win. Is just I don't know. I think what Stephen A says, eh, whatever can happen will happen. Look at
Yeah.
the Dak 2 point to make it a field goal
Mm-hmm.
game. He steps out of bounds. It's like everything. The fumble, um, and he comes out with the ball. All of a sudden, it's not a fumble. He recovered it on the ground. I'm like, where? How do you do that?
And then Terrence Steele is Terrence Steele, so
Oh my God, Terrence still would have walked back from Philly. I'm gonna be honest with you. You'd have took
back
You'd have took
home.
Greyhound or something, or pay
Back
for your own
home. And I
flight.
don't mean to Dallas. I mean back to San Antonio where he
Yeah,
came from.
oh,
No.
because
I
this ain't
mean,
working, bro. But like, I hope they had a stern talking, and I hope he watching film every day. Like, this is you. We just paid you. This is not the caliber of play that we need from you at all.
yeah.
So, but yeah, that's it. I really, um, I'm not worried about I'm not too worried about these next 3 games. It's more about the games after that, the Seahawks, Miami, Buffalo games. So, but if we can stack these wins, I think we'll be in a good position moving forward. Now, if we falter, then you can wrap it up. But I don't think so. I like the way the offenses responded these last 2 weeks. So,
All right. Well, we'll see. I'm gonna leave off with this hot take. My Rangers baseball. My Rangers are going back to back. I said it. It's happening. Y'all write it down, book it. It's going that way.
oh God, hey, made me sad. I'm thinking about my Yankees now. You
Yeah.
made me sad.
Y'all
Too
have
much
won
money.
enough. Y'all have won enough. It's fine. It's fine.
We haven't won lately. We need to win. But
Yeah.
I do appreciate the Rangers win. I don't know how it was in the city. So I'm out here in Frisco, so these
Mhm.
people act like they don't watch sports out here, so I couldn't really tell you what was going on. But good for y'all. Hopefully, because I know past seasons y'all been at the bottom of the division a lot. So
Mhm.
this is great for y'all. So congratulations.
Appreciate it.
Definitely.
Took a lot to get back there, but they finally brought it home. So I'm happy with that. I just shut up with the rest of Dallas teams right now, but we'll see how long that lasts.
Yeah.
But thank y'all for tuning in to this episode of Hot Take Season. Y'all hit us up in the comments with y'all's hot takes. Thank you, Bees, again for joining me for this segment. Y'all be blessed.